what an evening. V'nomar, wow. I think that's the way to summarize what we've been through. What an incredible evening. What can I add after hearing so many beautiful words and messages? Thank you for the privilege. I feel blessed. I feel it's my zchut to be here tonight. Thank you, and Yom Haatzmaut sameach, everyone. It's already Yom Haatzmaut. Toda rabah. It's my first time out of Israel on Yom HaZikaron and Yom Haatzmaut, Memorial Day, Independence Day, and I was worried. It's strange, it's weird, without the siren and Israeli flags everywhere and the atmosphere, but in a way it's really exciting. I never imagined such an evening. I met thousands of people here throughout the week, friends. I felt at home. I felt the shared mutual joy, and in a way, I also want to thank you for this special perspective, because I'm waiting to go back home and tell them everything about you, about this evening. I never heard about it. I heard the wounded soldiers. Guys, we never felt we have friends like this here, right? We never heard about it. So thank you very much for that. Coming here tonight means a lot. Thank you. And I want to thank you not just because of this evening tonight. In a way, you are soldiers, combat soldiers, or maybe the best definition will be ambassadors. You didn't receive any official appointment, but you are ambassadors every day. You decided to be on the right side of history, to support Israel, to tell the truth, to tell the world Israel is the solution in the Middle East, not its problem. And in a way you do it even when it's not so easy, not so pleasant, on campuses or social media, or in the political sphere, everywhere, every day. Sometimes we, the Israelis, we're busy in the daily race, and we don't stop just to express our gratitude. So it's also a day to say thank you, Toda Rabba. We have more than 1,000 ambassadors here, and that's you. Thank you for that also, Toda. You heard me here over Shabbos, some of you, and I told you, and Phil also mentioned the fact, I am a journalist since I was 6 years old. I was really young in Israel. As a young girl, I started interviewing politicians, and I'm always asked, what was your best scoop? What was your most interesting, exciting scoop, interview, something you covered? And I really interviewed them all. I interviewed at the age of 9, the former Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin of blessed memory. That's me. Sunflowers were very trendy back then. I interviewed a week later. I interviewed our former Foreign Minister, Shimon Peres. A week later, I interviewed the Power Rangers. They came to Israel, all of them of blessed memory, as we mentioned. And in a way, when I look back and I try to think, what's the best scoop? I covered the Supreme Court. I covered our parliament, the Knesset, elections. We have a lot of that. Elections, demonstrations, peace agreements, operations, the political sphere right now, everything that's going on. If you just want the brief, I always say that if you want to define the last decade in Israeli politics, you can call it to Bibi or not to Bibi. That's the way to define it. So what was the best scoop? What? And my answer is, the greatest scoop is to cover Am Israel, to cover the Jewish nation. This is the most exciting story of all. Our mutual story, the chapter we are writing in our history, it's a privilege, it's a zchut to just cover Israel. Think about it. Why? Why is it so special and unique? I think in a way, this day, we do not only thank Hashem, I think we should thank Am Israel, the people of Israel. Think about it for a minute. Just imagine a Jew. Let's choose a year. Imagine the Jew, the year, let's say 1200, okay? 1,200 years of exile behind him. He does not know when will it end. No spoilers. You do not know when it's going to be better. And, persecutions, anti-Semitism. He's poor maybe, and every year he davens L'Shana Haba'a B'Yerushalayim at the end of the Seder night, and at the end of Yom Kippur he's dancing next year in rebuilt Yerushalayim, and three times a day he faces Yerushalayim, and he reads the prophecies of consolation, but in a way he's so miserable, and he held on, he believed. This is our grandfather in Ukraine or in Yemen. These are our ancestors. We, in our genes, in our blood, in our DNA, We are ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim, believers, the children of the believers. So on that day, we should have that perspective, thanking thousands of years, hundreds of generations who believed. That's why I believe that's the greatest scoop of all. Because the most predictable thing to say about the Jewish nation is, we're unpredictable. For better and for worse, they were unpredictable. There is no precedent for a nation that lost a third of its people, but there is no precedent for a nation that, after 2,000 years, came out of the ashes and came back to its homeland. I think, and sometimes we forget it because of, daily hassles and, I would say, internal tension. Sometimes we forget what we see. We can definitely describe it in biblical proportions. We are biblical proportions. That's the right definition. As a journalist, that's what I feel. When you zoom out and look at the reality, it moves forward. And in a way, maybe one sentence can help us understand the proportions. If you count, okay, the number of all the soldiers and all the terror victims we just mourned today, all those who fell, we started counting more than 100 years ago. The number is the number of the victims in 1 month in Auschwitz. That's the number. Reality moves forward and in a positive way. But it's not enough. I want to cover more scoops. I want to cover all the great prophecies that were said about us. We're just in the middle of the way. We just started. 75 years. It's nothing. So I really believe it's realistic. The assumption that Am Yisrael will continue to fulfill all the good and I would say consulting prophecies that were said about us. So many chapters in the Tanakh that were said 2,500 years ago. Okay, people looked at it and it was unbelievable to even say it. Today, these are the news headline. עוד ישבו זקנים וזקנות ברחובות ירושלים. ברחובות העיר ימלאו ילדים וילדות משחקים ברחובותיה. Elderly men and women will sit in Jerusalem street and kids, boys and girls, will play on the street. I see it. Playground near my home, okay? What the prophet Zechariah said, I can look out of my window and I see it. Nobody even stops and looks at it. It's a miracle. בקבצי את בית ישראל מן העמים אשר נפוצו בם, וישבו עליה לבטח, ובנו בתים ונטעו כרמים. Those words of Yechezkel, the prophet Yechezkel. I will bring them back, my people of Israel. They will rebuild the cities. They will plant vineyards. That's the map. That's the Waze map of Israel. Look at the villages, the kibbutzim, the settlements, the cities. That's what you see. We're not excited about it anymore. That's why I'm sure all the predictions, even the final prediction, it was written, so it will be fulfilled. V'gar ze'ev im keves, the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. V'namer im gdir batz, the leopard will lay down with the baby goat. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Zion will be the center of Torah to the whole world. Udvar Hashem Yerushalayim, the words of Hashem from Jerusalem. It will happen. Israel, the Tanakh envisioned, and we'll see Israel, Be'ezrat Hashem. We see it today, more and more peace agreements. Israel can be a center of peace, a place people look up to because of technology, because of education, because it will be the source to solve the world's problem. And above all, the startup nation can definitely be a spiritual startup nation, teaching the world about startups of holiness and spirituality and morality. You may say I'm a dreamer, but for sure I'm not the only one. That's the dream. We will not disappoint that Jew from Ukraine or Yemen. We will not disappoint Hashem. We will not disappoint ourselves. We are on our way. The question is, how can we move forward faster, okay? How can we help promote this process of redemption? I have a few suggestions. First of all, I think knowing we're on the way, it's important. If you are here tonight, you understand the story. You know where we are. You see reality moves forward for the best, even if the media sometimes tells us something different. I know you hear the news from Israel. And there is a sentence, I'm used to say that on the news, starts at 8 every evening. There's a we say every evening, we say good evening, and then we prove to you it's not a good one. I believe it's true with American media too. Erev Tov, Ra, 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 weather forecast, and see you tomorrow. Erev Tov, Ra, Ra, Ra. Okay. I know we have problems, but waking up every morning searching for problems, it's the biggest problem of all. We have problems, and we'll face them if we'll try to even discuss solutions, if we'll see the positive part of life. There are so many positive things going on here if you just zoom out. So I'm here to tell you, by the way, it is really connected to the parashot we just read. I was in this shul on Shabbat. We read Tazria Metzora. I told them they invited a journalist for this Shabbat because of Lashon Hara. But in a way, yeah, I'm not insulted. But I truly think, Tzarat and Lashon Hara, it's really relevant to this Yom Haatzmaut. You hear a lot of Lashon Hara about Medinat Israel, and not everything is true. I'm here to tell you, don't believe everything you hear. Come and meet us, come and see, get to know Israel, and see a lot of Lashon HaTov we can say about our beloved homeland. And it's true. It's true. I'm not naive. There's a lot of tension, and there are demonstrations, and we have conflicts. But please, some proportions. Hashem diber tov al Israel, the prophet says. Hashem spoke and said good things about us. We've been through harder things. Please, look at our history. So, a little bit responsibility, a little bit proportions and perspective. Less news, less social media. Zoom out, looking at things from, a bird's eye view. And in a way, I think sometimes your perspective, the Jews abroad, American Jewry, your perspective is healthier and happier. And in a way, something is very simple in the way you see things. You understand sometimes things better than us. I'll give you a few examples. I see you. When you come to the Kotel, to the Western Wall, the way you're excited about everything. I live there, it's next to Zara, Mamila, I see the way you are excited about those gap years. You come for a year, only a year. I live in Israel for years. I'm 7th generation Israeli, okay? It's not so impressive. I was just born, but my ancestors were real pioneers. You come for a gap year. By the way, I heard a beautiful definition by our president, Yitzhak Herzog. He calls it base year. He told them gap year. It's not the right definition. It's not a gap year. It's a base year. You come even for a taglit, for a birthright trip, and you get the perception you're so excited about Israel. There is a joke that we should send the Israelis for birthright delegations. Maybe they'll get a little bit excited, Whoa, Yam HaMelach, wow, Tzfat, whoa. I live in Achlaot, next to the American colony called Sha'arei Chesed, okay? So, Rehavia. So I talk to my American Olot Chadashot, new immigrants, friends, all the mothers in the neighborhood. And I see things from their perspective. And in a way, I get excited. They go to the grocery stores. They try to buy in Hebrew. It's hard to buy things. But that's the language of Avraham Avinu. They see the bus and it says Chag Sameach on Pesach, not on Christmas. And they feel the atmosphere on Friday, the way Shabbat comes. You feel it everywhere. And they're excited. So in a way, don't lose that naive enthusiasm. Don't lose, we want it too. I think in a way we can learn a lot from your perspective about us. So we mentioned enthusiasm, hitlahavut. Now I want to mention achdut. That's the second maybe cure or remedy we need, unity. I cannot ignore the last month, a month of painful terrorism in Israel. Unfortunately, almost every year in the month of Ramadan. And I want to share a few thoughts about 3 families. I never met them before. I had the privilege to meet them now, unfortunately, under such circumstances. The Paley brothers were murdered in Ramot in a terror attack. Their mother, Dvori Paley, reached out to me. She wanted to organize a unity event on Zoom. The Paley brothers, Asher Menachem, Yaakov Israel, young, adorable, 2 young Haredi kids from the neighborhood of Ramot. Dvori felt something in the air after this terror attack, and she said, I want to do something with secular and ultra-Orthodox mothers. I said, For sure, I'm going to be there. It's on their Shloshim, the day, a month after the terror attack. We just posted a link on Facebook, no publicity, nothing commercial, just simple link. In 2 days, more than 20,000 women signed up. More than 20,000 women signed up. We did nothing. The day the Zoom was about to begin, Dvori gave birth. Oh Hashem, Mazal Tov. Yes, or I was there by myself with 20,000 women who came to hear Dvori. Baruch Hashem, I thought about this happy scenario 2 days earlier. I pre-recorded an interview with Dvori, and that's what we did. But think about it. Basically, 20,000 women came to say Hamakom Yenachem. Eventually, they said Mazal Tov, and that was really, really meaningful. You can see it's not just the number of women; it's a message. It's a statement, okay, of unity after this event. A few days later, after basically, I think the whole Jewish world heard about the Palei brothers, the Yaniv brothers were murdered. Hallel and Yagel. Once again, the word achim, siblings, brothers. In their funeral, I first met Esti Yaniv, their mother, their incredible mother. And she was there screaming. Afterwards, she gave me an interview with the same messages. But during the funeral, she said, achim. On the media, you always say, she said, milchemet achim, like a civil war, a war among brothers. Milchemet achim, that's the phrase. And now Hashem tells us, achim, there is no milchemet achim. There's only achim, there's only unity. Stop talking about milchemet achim, about a war among siblings. That was Esti's message. And a few days later, you all heard of the sisters. Now it's achayot, not achim. Yaniv, Rina and Maya Di, Hashem Yikom Damam. We have the Palei brothers, the Yaniv brothers, the D sisters. Hundreds of vehicles were there on that day, in the Jordan Valley, where they were murdered. Hundreds of vehicles. I have no idea why Hashem chose this vehicle and made us say Achim and Achayot once again, hundreds of times on TV. We cannot speak in the name of Hashem, for sure. I'm not the right person to tell you what Hashem wants. But I can speak in the name of the families. I'm here in their name. I interviewed all 3 of them in Israel. And they all tell us there is a message here. Please absorb, understand. Something is said here about our solidarity, our arvut, our achva. Achva comes from the word achim, achayot. And a few days later, there was another disaster in Israel. It wasn't a terror attack. It was a flash flood in the south. 2 people perished, and once again, Achim, Ma'ayan and Sahar, Asor. Ma'ayan, I went to his Facebook account. That was his last post. Ma'ayan saw the pictures of those 3 couples, and he wrote in his words, Matai kulam yavinu shekulanu po achim. When will you all get it that we are all brothers and sisters, siblings here? While the Asor family was sitting Shiva in Tveria, it became a billboard in the city of Tveria in the north. Matai kulam yavinu shekulanu po achim. I posted it, and some girl wrote, I think it's not Ma'ayan asking us this question. I think Hashem is asking us this question. You know, there is a word in the world of PR, presenters. We're looking for, models, good looking, they can convey the message, people can relate to them. We're looking for presenters. Hashem chose his presenters this month before our Memorial Day, okay? Look at those presenters. They say something to us. Can we understand it while everything is good, while we're alive? Or do we need more pictures of couples? Do we need to say once again, Achim and Achayot, until we'll get it? We are Achim and Achayot. Can we live Kiddush Hashem and not die on Kiddush Hashem? That's, I think, the main message for this Yom HaZikaron for sure, and I hope it's the last example we need. So how do we move forward? Okay, so we mentioned hitlahavut, enthusiasm about our mutual story, and we mentioned achdut, unity, achim. What else can we do? I visited many of your schools this week. Baruch Hashem, and I want to thank Rabbi Schechter and the rabbis and the staff and all those who organized everything here, the Sokols who are hosting us, and they do not allow me to remind them, but I will. Thank you for everything. It's hard to come back to Israel after such really warm hospitality, hard living central, berelicious, gourmet glad. It's hard. Yeah, Eretz Yisrael niknet beisurim. It's hard. But we're going back home tomorrow. But I visited so many schools, really. I met your kids and teenagers. We were everywhere. We met the Hafter kids, and Shulamith, and in Queens, Yeshiva Central, and Ganenu, and 2 public schools here in the neighborhood, and YU, and the Einstein Medical Center. So many places here with teenagers and young people, young Jewish, the next generation. And they asked me, what can we do for Israel? What can we do as kids, as teenagers? Usually we give two answers here. As you know, as Israelis, we give 2 answers. 1, Americans can definitely donate and send their money. And 2, you can make aliyah, okay? But let's be realistic. Is it enough, okay? Let's be realistic. Can all of us donate money? Many, maybe in 5 towns you can, but and I'm not sure that's the main mission for each individual. It's nice to donate and to be connected, but it's not the only answer. And when we discuss aliyah, let's be realistic. Nefesh ben nefesh, they bring a few thousand Jews every summer. It's great, but it's not even 1% out of, millions of brothers and sisters we have here. So I tried to give them more tachlis answers, more practical answers. And I told them, kol mitzvah, kol Yehudi. Every mitzvah and every Jew. Kol mitzvah means, and I think this perspective might really elevate our life and make us more united. Kol mitzvah means every mitzvah you make, it's not a private thing. It's a public, national, global thing. They say in the world of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, you say in the higher worlds, before you perform a mitzvah, you say, B'Shem Kol Yisrael. We do something, B'Shem Kol Yisrael. Why? It's a private thing I do. I don't know you. You don't see me. No. It connects us. Everything I do is B'Shem Kol Yisrael. It's in a way connects me to the nation of Israel, to this concept called Am Yisrael. So, in a way, this worldview can really elevate our life, because imagine you can be our Iron Dome. In everything you do, that's what I told the kids. You protect us. If you think about Israel, if you care about us, your tzedakah can be connected to the kids of Sderot, and your candlelighting can be connected to the security of Yerushalayim or Tel Aviv, and vice versa. What we do there affects you, okay? The Torah you learn, every verse you say here, the brachot, every good thing you do. You can, in a way, create embassies of Eretz Yisrael. It's the Holy Land. Whenever you do something holy, we are connected, B'Shem Kol Yisrael. So I told them, everything, tiny thing you do, we are connected. And it's not me telling them this message. I heard it from a real hero I interviewed once, Natan Sharansky. I interviewed Natan and Avital Sharansky, an exclusive interview. 30 years after he was released from Russian communist jail, he gave me an exclusive interview with his wife Avital. Heroic stories, behind the Iron Curtain, communism, hunger strikes, more than 10 years in jail, romantic story about they say it was their best decade, the best Shlom Bayit. For 10 years, no, even one fight. That was really perfect. She's out there organizing all the demonstrations for him. He's in there, KGB investigations, the best Shlom Bayit ever. So basically, they're really funny and really nice, and we sat together for 3 hours. And I think it's a really heroic story in our history. It was fascinating. And all the things he discovered about Judaism and the way he was learning Hebrew and everything was really interesting. The tefillin, and he tried, by the way, he had a Yom Haatzmaut ceremony. It was really the way he tried to calculate when is Hey B'Iyar and to celebrate his independence in this small cell. Fascinating. But then I asked him at the end of the interview, why are you giving this interview after so many years? And he told me, I want every Jew to know that he is braver than me. I said, are you maybe thirsty? We're sitting here for 3 hours. How can we be braver than you? And he said, I truly believe that back then, inside the cell, it was easier because everything was crystal clear, right and wrong, black and white, true and false. I was identified with everything that is good. They were, the communism, identified with everything that is negative, and that's it. I wasn't confused for a minute. The minute I walked out from jail, he said, I became confused because the world is confusing. I want you to, he told me, I want you to go to every Jew in the world and tell him if he's connected to our story, he's braver than me. I couldn't believe it. But then I asked him and Avital, his wife, they said, yeah, we truly believe that in the open world, the global world, and we want to live in democracies, in Israel, in the States, we don't want communism. But when nobody's after you, when nobody's chasing you, when you have this freedom, abundance, when everything's a society of wealth, in a way it's harder to choose. He tells everything's available, everything's accessible, he told me. If you choose Judaism, if you choose Zionism, if you're committed, if you're devoted, you're a real hero. I want to tell you something. In Israel, the stores are closed tonight. The stores are open. You can be in Broadway right now. You're here because you choose to be here. By the way, you have Netflix. You don't have to go anywhere. You have everything available everywhere. All the distractions, all the push notifications, all the identities. You don't have to define yourself. If you're committed, it's not me. Sharansky tells you, that's bravery. That's real heroism. Thank you for that, Gevurah. You are also Giborim, what you do here for us. So this is the message about every mitzvah, every good thing that you do, every minute when you decide to be more devoted, more engaged, and more committed. But I also told the kids, it's not just every mitzvah, it's every Jew. And allow me to be Dugri. You know what Dugri means? I'm an Israeli. I want to tell you the truth. I'm sorry. In a way, every Jew means, I shared my story here on Shabbat. At the age of 15, 3 girls told me 2 words that changed my life. They said, Boi leShabbat, come for Shabbos. I came, and here I am here today. In a way, they gave me this gift of Jewish identity, being much more engaged and affiliated. What about the Jews here? We mentioned we have more than 1,000 people here. It's really impressive. Rabbi, we said you don't want any empty seats. No empty seats. People are standing. Look, people are standing. Baruch Hashem. But I do say empty seats because the legislator, the mayor, you just mentioned, we have 300,000 Jews in this county. Am I right? Yeah. Where are they? We need, we said we had 1,000 people here. We need 300 halls like this one tonight. We need them with us. Where are they? They are on Netflix. They are in Broadway. We love them. They are our brothers and sisters. Once again, this word, achim ve'achayot. This billboard is for them too. We need them. It's, for me, if I was in Ukraine right now, reporting from Ukraine, I would definitely say this is a Jewish disaster area. It's hard to stand here in 5 towns and say it, but maybe, am I standing here in a Jewish disaster area? Where are all the Jews? They disappear. Assimilation, indifference, they're not here with us. So maybe the problem in Israel is we're too active. We shout too much, we scream, we yell, we demonstrate, we care too much. Maybe, and I really want to be gentle, the problem here is the opposite. We're not active enough, the silence. In Israel, the problem is, for sure, the noise. Maybe the problem here is the silence, they disappear. No headlines, it's not a terror attack, they just walk away. This is our mutual problem here. Those brothers and sisters, no pictures of them. Where are they? I think in a way, in our generation, it should be the main message. It's not me saying it, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said it. As you see, I just quote important people and their messages. We can, as I said, each individual here, each Jew should hear the words, come for Shabbos. And let's discuss. I think you have the ability here to invite someone for Shabbos, even right in a few days. Just to bring them, and then we'll discuss everything, Israel, Zionism, holidays, identity, our bigger story. We mentioned Nefesh B'Nefesh. I think we need an organization called Nefesh Ve'od Nefesh Ve'od Nefesh. One soul and another soul and one other soul. This picture, that document is from the Wannsee Committee. Wannsee, in German they say Wannsee Committee. Ve'idat Wannsee, the famous Wannsee Committee, that's where they decided and basically declared about the final solution, the decision to kill each Jew in the world. This is a list. You see the number of Jews in the whole world. You see the number of Jews in Germany, in Ukraine, in Poland, big numbers. But the red circle marks something else. 200 Jews, that's it. 200 Jews in the tiny community of Albania. Why can't Hitler sleep at night as long as 200 Jews are still alive in Albania? Kill all the Jews in Poland, God forbid, and Germany, and Ukraine. What do you want? 200 Jews in Albania. Ultimate evil cannot live with one existent Jew, because he will start everything all over again, just like Avraham Avinu. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said, in our generation, if ultimate evil wanted to kill every Jew, we will reach out to every Jew and revive him. This is our mission in our generation after the Holocaust. So we just started 75 years. I wish us a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of unity. And I wish us to perform every mitzvah and touch every Jew in order to promote the biggest scoop ever. I hope to cover it until the day we will not just say we're on our way, until the divine ways will tell us you have reached your destination, the real final redemption. Thank you very much. Toda rabba.